Welcome back, viewers. And we are still in the studio with Mr. Robert Idred Into from the Labour Department, who is the Industrial Relations Officer, who have been walking us through the role or the mandate of the Industrial Relations Unit within the Labour Department. Mr. Into, let's look at what leads to unfair labour practice when it comes to dealing with the labour space in our country.
Yeah, the Labour Act 2003, Act 651, outlines about 5 things that lead to discrimination or unfair labor practice. And I think your viewers should permit me to pick it from the Act.
Why not? Yes, yeah. For the purposes of education, it's quite important.
Exactly.
Walatu Walasa is to educate our viewers, more especially our workers, about what the labor space is and the information, the laws and regulations that are there to govern us. So, Mr. Nto, you can go ahead.
Yes, so thank you. Section 126 of the Labour Act talk about discrimination. And subsection 1, let me read. A person who discriminates against any person with respect to the employment or conditions of employment because that other person is a member, an officer of a trade union is guilty of unfair labor practice. I think it's a straightforward thing.
It is. It is.
2 talks about the fact that a person who seeks by intimidation, dismissal, threats of dismissal, or by any kind of threat, or by imposition of a penalty, or by giving or offering to give a wage increase, or any other favorable alteration of terms of employment, or by any other means seeks to induce a worker to refrain from becoming or continuing to be a member of or an officer of a trade union is guilty of unfair labor practice.
That is on the part of the employer.
Exactly, okay. Exactly. Most of the times, employers, because they don't want the unions to come to their workplace, yes, they don't want to engage any form of union in their workplace. These are some of the things they do. They induce, the key people who might champion the cause of
the key workers, who might be leading for formation of a union, will be victimized. They will be intimidated.
So sometimes they increase their salary. Sometimes they promote them.
Oh, okay.
By inducing, inducing is just trying to let people do something not that he's willing to do.
Okay.
So they will just induce you in a way, try to change your mind so that even your constitutional rights will be denied
from you. Yeah.
Okay. So 3, a worker or group of workers who by any kind of threat seeks to intimidate the employer during negotiation of a collective agreement is guilty of unfair labor practice. This practice is not only coming from employees. Employees also have their own. During negotiations, employees do threats that if you don't agree on what we want, we will embark on an industrial action. The law is saying that it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. Don't use negotiations
as a ransom.
Exactly.
Okay.
To intimidate the employer so that you get what you want at all costs.
Okay. So unfair labor practice can either be on the part of the employer
both sides,
or on the employee.
Both sides.
Good. Go ahead.
Both sides. The 4th one, employers or employers' organizations who seek by any kind of threat to intimidate the worker during negotiations of a collective agreement or are guilty of unfair labor practice. So the intimidation may not come from employees alone. It may come from the employer as well. What they normally do is that they will tell you that if you don't do what I want from you, I'll terminate your appointment. And should an employer terminate your appointment,
what are you
going to depend on? And there is no way that you will be able to say that it is out of or it was out of this that the employer terminated the appointment.
To identify. What particular
he's not going to give you those reasons.
What particular
you may use something else to terminate.
Looking at unfair labor practice in Ghana, do we face much unfair labor practice? Do we see some of these scenarios happening most often?
Of course, yes. My experience at the department is that most employers are anti-union. Most of them.
It's the private employers.
Well, I said most. I don't want to.
Okay, so in generality,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, most employers, most, because of the chief labor officer being the issuer of collective bargaining certificates. We are faced with challenges when it comes to union operations within the workplace. You could see that employers resist many a times when it comes to the formation of a union within their workplaces.
Yeah.
So we come across these things a lot. And, they do victimize workers. They do terminate their appointments. We have recorded such cases a lot. I don't want to mention names. I don't want to give examples. I may be led to say certain things I'm not supposed to say. I might end up mentioning names of organizations. So let me leave that aspect for now.
Very well, but it's happening. What you want us to know is that it happens.
It is happening.
And for that matter, it is not the best.
Exactly. As we sit here now, there is a matter that I'm dealing with. It's just a matter of determining who should be part of a union. And it has taken us about 4 months. The employer is telling us he established the organization and nobody can tell him what to do. It's as if we don't have laws. But it's a civil law, and sometimes as a regulator, you need to manage the situation to ensure that there is fair play. Within the industrial atmosphere.
Within the space. That could be another difficult one. But for the purpose of education, viewers, what I want you to know is that there are 3 main major actors when it comes to industrial relations in our beloved country, Ghana. 1 is organized labor. 2 is the Ghana Employers Association, GEA, and the 3rd is the government of Ghana. Now, under the government of Ghana, that is where you come in, because you are under the Ministry of Employment, right? So under the Ministry of Employment, we have the Labor Department, which is seeking for fair labor practice in our country. We also have the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, that is saying to, wages when it comes to wages and remuneration. We also have the Factories Inspectorate. Right? Then we can also talk about the National Labour Commission. These are all key important agencies or departments that ensure that industrial harmony is achieved within our setting. Now, let me ask you, when it comes to dealing with issues that has to do with unionization, whereby the employer, like you stated already, doesn't want a union to be formed within its working environment, how do you step in to ensure that the employer goes according to what the law says?
Even though ignorance to the law is no excuse, there is that obligation on us to ensure that sometimes employers who are recalcitrant get to understand that the workers have rights. Most employers sometimes don't know this. So within our folds, what we do is we invite them, educate them, for them to understand that the employers have their rights as the employees too. So you cannot shortchange the employee just for your own good or your own benefit. It is the constitutional right of the employee to form or join any trade union of his or her choice. Therefore, if such an employer is anti-union, just bringing him to the light of day, we are able to, go through this process smoothly. In a situation whereby an employer still, through our engagement, refuses to accept or adhere to the principles of fair industrial relations practice, we refer the matter to the National Labour Commission to obviously direct the employer to do the needful by allowing the workers to, exercise their constitutional rights.
Constitutional rights.
Exactly.
Great, but I hope that in our labor space, worker rights are not being trampled upon that much.
Or if somebody is not allowing the other to form or join a trade union, it's clear that the person is trampling upon the right of others. Yeah. So it happens a lot.
Yeah, because the role of the trade union is to ensure fairness within the operations of the dealing with the worker.
It is a role by the regulator, performs that role,
as well.
Extensively.
As well. Well, viewers, I want us to take a critical look at Section 8 of the Labour Act 651. The rights, responsibilities, and duties of key actors in industrial relations system in our country, taken from the Labour Act 651, 2003, Section 8. It reads, subject to this act and any other enactment, the rights of an employer include the right to A, employ a worker, discipline, transfer, promote and terminate the employment of the worker. B, formulate policies, execute plans and programs to the set targets or goals of that particular organization. C, modify, extend or cease operations. D, determine the type of products to be made or sold and the prices of its goods and services. Those are the rights of the employer. Now, let's look at the duties. There's a difference between rights and duties. Okay, right is like I have it. Duty is what has to be done. So now let's look at duties of the employer under Section 9. It says, without prejudice to the provisions of this act and any other enactment for the time being in for any other contract of employment or collective agreement, the duties of an employer include A, to provide work and appropriate raw materials, machinery and equipment and tools. B, pay the agreed remuneration at the time and place agreed on in the contract of the employment or collective bargaining agreement or by law or by agreed between the employer and the worker. C, take all practicable steps to ensure that the worker is free from risk of personal injury, damage, or his or her health during and in the course of the worker's employment or while lawfully on the employer's premises. D, develop the human resource by way of training and retraining and retaining of workers. E, provide and ensure operation of an adequate procedure for discipline of workers. F, furnish the worker with a copy of the worker's contract of employment. J, keep open the channels of communication with the workers. And H, protect the interests of the workers. Now, in one of the duties of the employer, it talks about workplace safety. In the current dispensation, when you go on factory inspections, how does the workplace look like? How is it workplace safety or employee safety? Do we have it? Is it guaranteed?
It's supposed to be guaranteed. The Labor Department, as part of our functions or mandate, is to ensure that the workplace is safe without any troubles at all. Mm-hmm. You go to some workplaces and PPEs are not provided. It is not that the employer does not have the capabilities of providing those PPEs, mm-hmm. but it's just a matter of refusing to provide the PPEs to the workers. Yeah. So it is something that if you should go out there, you see. But as a regulator, you put in the measures to ensure that the employer comply by providing the requisite PPEs for the employees, mm-hmm. so that the employee will be free from any occupational accident. So basically, we most of the times come across this within employment
inspections
places. Yes.
Okay, within when you go for inspections, how about payment of the agreed remuneration that has been agreed on the collective bargaining certificate?
Yeah, I think most of the times employers do go by the agreed salary that they have
with the
various workers.
Okay.
Yeah, they sign contracts. It's weird to come across a situation whereby an employer has signed a contract and therefore the employer is not going by the contract.
That's what leads to some kind of industrial unrest.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have agreed with me that I'll be working this from this period to this period, and this is what you are going to pay me, and which is not below the minimum wage, the month ends and you give me something lesser than what we have agreed on, it's uncalled for. Therefore, employees will resist. But it doesn't mostly happen. What employers do, most employers do abide by the terms and conditions of employment.
I know sometimes we also hear reports that certain group of workers are complaining, not government workers, I'm talking about private sector, complaining why? Because maybe the factory they are working in had not paid them for a number of weeks, a number of months, and the factory would be giving flimsy excuses why, because of and might not pay the workers. A lot of workers do agitate on that level.
Yes, workers do agitate when it comes to salary arrears. Yeah. Salary arrears. It's an organization operating on a certain system. Sometimes the system might fail, and for that reason, they might not be able to pay workers. We don't condone such,
In Labor Department, what do you do when it comes to such?
Our own is to ensure that you pay the worker. The worker has worked. It is an earned salary.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have to pay. But you go in there, when this report comes and you go in there, you use inspection as a tool to get the information right. You go in there, and sometimes the employer may tell you that I've been paying these workers for the number of years they've been with me. However, just something small happened, and for that matter, I'm not able to pay them this particular month. I'm looking forward to ensure that I pay all of them.
Does it come to pass that they are paid?
Oh yes,
or they are laid off.
It's one in a million. That's
really
somebody is not paid, and the person will go and ask of his salary, and the person's appointment will be terminated. It doesn't usually happen. Yes, it's one in a million.
Well,
the issue is that if you should go to an employer and the employer is not denying the fact that he is owing the workers.
But how long is the employer going to take to pay?
Then the how long comes in.
Yeah.
What are the timelines to pay these workers? That is what comes to play.
Does the Labor Department play a role when it comes to the timeline?
Oh yes. We will need to find out, because if you don't find out, should you live there, then the fire will start to spark.
Okay.
And if you don't take care, the unforeseen will happen.
Okay.
So we work with timelines. Times are hard.
Yeah.
The salaries we take as workers.
Somebody
will say sometimes nothing to write home.
Exactly. So it should be a very.
We ensure that you pay them on time.
So it should be painful and difficult times for the worker when he works and the employer refuses to pay him.
Exactly.
Now, before we go for break, let's look at the rights of a worker under Section 10 of the Labour Act. So the rights of a worker include A, work under satisfactory, safe and healthy conditions. B, receive equal pay for equal work without distinction of any kind.
Exactly.
C, have rest, leisure and reasonable limitation of working hours and period of holidays with pay as well as remuneration for public holidays. Did this take place? Does it happen?
Oh, you see, like I said earlier on, this is our expectations. That my rights as a worker should be respected. That the rights of the employer too should be respected. We have different kinds of human beings operating within these particular sectors.
Okay.
And as human as we are, somebody may go wrong.
So it is happening, it is not happening.
It is happening.
It is happening, it is not happening.
It is happening, and it happens.
The situation?
It happens.
We are reading from the law. So now D, it says form or join a trade union. That one is happening.
It is happening. Workers are joining. Some workers too are being denied of their constitutional right to form or join.
It's a right. It's a right of a worker.
It's a right.
E, the worker should be trained and retained for the development of his or her skills.
Should be trained and be retained. Retained. Okay.
Within the workspace.
Exactly.
So it is the right of the worker, as he or she has been employed, to be trained by the employer.
Exactly.
And be retained.
Exactly. So if you don't train me, how would I be able to be productive?
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Workers getting these rights. Our employers doing this for our workers.
The question is, we've not come across these complaints a lot. I think they don't come.
Let me move on.
I just want to come in again. If an employer don't train the worker to retain that worker, who is losing here? You bring in a new machine. If you don't train the worker, how would the worker be productive? How would that machine operate? Unless it's an AI machine.
You need an AI.
You need a technician. So, at any given point in time, an employer is supposed to do this for their own good.
Great. So let's look at F. Receive information relevant to his or her work. The employer must provide the worker with information on the work, on the job that is supposed to be done. You don't assume that the worker should be able to do the job without any relevant information.
That is why when I come, you outline my duties to me.
Yeah.
What I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you need to tell me in total.
Yeah.
What I should
specifically.
Do, what I should do to achieve the results that you want as an employer
within a particular time.
Exactly. So if you don't provide me with the necessary information, the work will not be done as expected. The objectives of the company will not be met.
Very well. So workers or otherwise labor, those are your rights. Now let's look at your duty as a worker under Section 11 of the Labor Act. Without prejudice to the provision of this act, the duties of a worker in any contract or employment or collective agreement include the duty to A, work consciously in a lawfully chosen occupation. B, report for work regularly and punctually. C, enhance productivity. D, exercise due care in execution of assigned work. E, obey lawful instruction regarding the organization and the execution of his or her work. F, take all reasonable care for the safety and health of fellow workers. G, protect the interest of the employer. H, take proper care of the property of the employer entrusted to the worker or under the immediate control of the worker. That is the role of the worker when it comes to working with your employer. Mr. Eto, what do you have to say before we go on break?
There is one thing you said, I think, which has to do, you read, which has to do with punctuality.
Great.
It is something that we need to respect as workers. You are taking salaries time has been provided for you to report for work.
Yeah.
Truancy is unacceptable. Lateness is unacceptable. I will urge our listeners to ensure that they report to work on time and they close as per the provisions of the contract that they have entered in with the employer. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the issue of safety of the workplace. It is advisable that if an employee should come across or should enter into a work premises where the place is not safe for his own good, the employee must remove himself from that work.
Great.
Secondly, the employee can report any hazardous
action that is taking place within the work environment.
Yeah, environment within the workplace to the appropriate supervisor or the manager of the organization, so that it will be, if they are not resolved or they are not addressed, the employee must remove himself for his own good and his own safety, his own life as well.
Yeah, because you realize that it cannot be guaranteed
exactly
that his life or her life would be safe under those conditions.
Exactly. So the first thing is report. Second, if nothing is being done about it, come out of it.
Withdraw.
And then the issues will be dealt.
Somebody will say, if I withdraw, what am I going to feed my...
But would you choose withdrawal over your life? Or would you choose staying in the company and die over your life? Mm-hmm. I think
the best option
is to protect yourself. Come out. And then go in again. And in going in, you must ensure that the place is okay for your well-being.
Safe, as the law states.
Exactly.
Now, we'll go for a break, and when we come back, we'll look at the challenges and the way forward for the Industrial Labour Unit of the Labour Department. We'll be right back.
Walatu, Walasa,
Ghana is in an era where evidence-based policy making is fundamental. Policy polls seeks to bring clarity, transparency, and accountability into focus, demystifying public service and government business for the citizenry while also sparking informed dialogue. It provides an emergent, non-partisan platform for examining the role of the public service in shaping governance and public service delivery in Ghana. This series offers a comprehensive dive into the policies, frameworks, and operations guiding public service institutions, analyzing how they align with national development goals and how they affect the everyday lives of Ghanaians. Policy polls will also provide an outlook on public policies behind emergent public agenda, exploring policy gaps, challenges, and its implementation. Each episode focuses on a specific public service institution, dissecting the policies they operate under, their implementation approaches, and the impacts on the ground. Policy polls, demystifying policies, making it simple.
Welcome back. We still have in our studio Mr. Robert Edward Into, who has been walking us through some of the most important issues when it comes to industrial relations. Now, Mr. Into, let's look at industrial relations itself, some of the challenges that we are facing in addressing peaceful industrial relations and harmony within our country. What are some of the major challenges?
The major challenges we face in this industrial relations sector of most of our, workplaces has to do with discrimination, non-payment of salaries, the rights of the workers not being respected,
being trampled upon,
not being respected. The fact that employers most of the times take unilateral decisions without necessarily engaging the workers on some of the decisions that they take. The fact that employers do terminate workers' appointments based on the fact that they've complained about certain things with respect to the work that they do. The issue of equal pay for work, yes, it's not being adhered to. These are some of the issues.
Sometimes overtime allowances are not being paid.
They do, and they are not paid. They are not paying overtime. Sorry. And secondly, the holiday aspect of the work, where the employer needs to pay the worker for the holiday work that they've done, is also there. They normally don't pay. They combine everything together and say that it is embedded in the salary that is being paid to you. So these are the challenges that we come across daily in our industrial relations environment or space within the very sectors that we all work within.
Very well. So looking at some of these challenges, do you have stakeholders that you work with, as in, let's say, the industrial relations unit of the Labour Department? Who are some of your stakeholders?
So normally we do call them social partners.
In fact, your social partners.
I think in our earlier discussions, we mentioned them, the trade unions, the civil society organizations. Employers, workers. So basically,
at which point in time do they come to your need? Is it on training? Do they come to you to help you train, workers and employees on some of these?
Ideally, based on some of the challenges we face as a department, we sometimes go to these donor funding agencies to assist us in training our workers and also ensuring that the public is being educated and awareness are being created for the benefit of industrial relations practice in Ghana. With the unions, they come when they have their own applications and their issues with respect to the fact that employers are not allowing them to engage, or employers are trampling upon the rights of their members. So employers to come reporting about the fact that employees are not respecting their rights. So these are the things that our social partners confront us with, and we are able to deal with them accordingly.
So what do you think can be done when it comes to capacity building of your unit?
Every labor officer needs to be trained, so that we'll be able to execute the functions of the department very well. So in terms of capacity building, it is important that we are trained, and I think our employers are trying to do so. We are being trained on various forms of industrial relations practice in the office. So it is happening. It is happening.
It is happening.
Yeah.
We thank God that it is happening. We hope that it continues. Now, taking into consideration these actors when it comes to industrial relations, that is organized labor, the Ghana Employers Association, Ghana government, GOG in itself, what message do you have for these actors?
First of all, my message to them is that everybody or every entity should ensure that the rights of both employees and employers are respected. The work environment should be safe for both employers and employees. Workers' salaries should be paid on time. Workers' salaries should be paid on time. Productivity should be increased through the performance of the very workers that we employ. Workers must know that the employer is the one providing the tools, and the tools are supposed to be used in the right way as they are being trained on them. So therefore, every individual within the industrial space, industrial relations space, should try to respect each other for us to have a serene and industrial peace and harmony within this country. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I think that is quite important. Industrial peace and harmony is what we need. This will lead to higher production. Now, viewers, all too soon we have come to the end of yet another educative episode of Walatu, Walasa, your Labor Digest program. The discussion has been informative and purposeful, and we hope that you have really learned a lot from it. We have been informed that industrial peace and harmony depends on effective role played by all actors in industrial relations and respecting the rules, regulations, and laws that govern them. A mutual employer-employee relationship should be key in all aspects of our labor space, and this will ensure higher productivity. To our guest, Mr. Robert Edward Into, we say a very big thank you for coming to us to come and educate us on the industrial relations unit of the Labor Department. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Now, viewers, let us take a critical look of what I have on my table. I am sure many of you are admiring it and wondering what it symbolizes. This is Walatu, Walasa's campaign against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey in Ghana. Walatu, Walasa is appealing to the conscience of all those involved in this brutal act, right from the top of operations to the lowest person involved in Galamsey, to take a look into the future of our country, Ghana, and put a stop to this act that will destroy our beloved country. We are calling for responsible mining, which we believe falls within the environmental balance of our country. Ghana needs clean water, and this is what we're talking about. We need clean water. I leave you with this labor quote. The environment is no one's property to destroy. It is everyone's responsibility to protect. Thank you for staying with us on Walatu Walasa, where we keep the spirit of work and dignity alive. Work hard, stay focused, be productive, and on a very good day, don't break the rules. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Walatu,